So I'm here with Ali Dajani, former State High grad and then Penn State grad, and now he's out in Cairo and he started a brand new business. So first, can you tell me about that?
Of course. First of all, thank you so much, Jared. Thank you for having me.
Great having you on.
Um, State College, Penn State represent. I grew up most of my life in State College. It's a place I still call home. Um, Currently, I'm not in Cairo. Currently, I'm in the north coast of Egypt, as I was just telling you before this. But yeah, I'm based in Cairo. I've been in Cairo, Egypt for the last 4 years. And, I'll tell you also just a bit about how I got here so it makes sense. Um, but I spent my entire life in the F&B industry. So from the humble age of 15, basically just working in different restaurants, started dishwashing at wait, was it Waffle Shop? Yeah, Waffle Shop at State College
Shop.
downtown. I wanted to cook there. They said I'd cook after 2 weeks. I spent 3 months dishwashing. They didn't let me cook. So
Yep,
I went to work at the Village at Penn State, which is where you and I met.
that's right.
Um, and spent a solid 2.5 years there under Craig Hamilton. He's the one who really got me into cooking and kind of gave me that passion. And yeah, so I did a year at Penn State also while I was there. I studied hospitality management. From there, I went to New York for a year. I did culinary school. I ended right as COVID started, and I was working in a Michelin star restaurant while I was there as well. So that was my goal: be a chef and be the best chef there is, open the best Michelin star restaurants there was. That was the path I was on. And then I came back to Penn State, did another year and a half. And then I got a phone call to co-found a restaurant group in Egypt. So that's kind of how I landed here. Is My old partner called me. We co-founded 3 brands here together, all in cloud kitchens. It was right when the cloud kitchen boom happened. So everything from uh, we started the first thing we did was an upscale Wagyu burger chain. So we were doing like truffle burgers, putting foie gras on burgers, doing some like crazy stuff. And we had 3 locations. We were operating out of different areas in Cairo and also here on the north coast of Egypt. And then yeah, I didn't continue with him. I kind of had other plans for my life, so uh, I didn't continue with the operations. It's still running to this day. I went to the GCC, which is like the Khaliji countries. So I went around Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, uh, Kuwait, and these areas just consulting for F&B companies. There was my family friend has a consulting firm there for F&B businesses, and he wanted to open up an operations department. So I went and opened up that operations department. So basically, I was helping all these restaurants that were very well known in the region set up better systems. So everything from setting in their checklist, their SOPs. People just they had like maybe 40, 50 locations and they didn't even have any systems. They were just kind of running on like random like paper and Excel sheets and that type of thing. And so I went in and put systems for them, showed them the best way to do things, having, some international experience. And yeah, that's really where I got the idea for the company that I'm running right now, which is Modeeri. So we are an operations management platform for multi-location businesses. It's not just F&B businesses. We work with brands like Adidas. We work with brands all over Saudi and UAE, Dubai, Egypt, Jordan, and we basically help them standardize their operations. So we're a software platform that helps them take all of their paper checklists, Excel sheets, all their digital audits and inspections, or sorry, all their paper audits and inspections. We help them make it digital. So they would basically standardize all of their systems, their day-to-day systems, from opening their store to closing their store to handing over shifts, handling cash, inventory, receiving. That's from the checklist side. They would digitize that into Modeeri. So now they can take pictures of everything. Everyone who's actually on ground and working can know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And management sees that everything is done properly with timestamps, with data. So everyone's held accountable. They're compliant. They have visibility into their operations. And yeah, we're just building more modules to basically help standardize operations in the Middle East. So we've been working with big brands now, working with even bigger brands every single day. We've been growing at a really good pace, which has been very exciting recently. And yeah, even though I'm here vacationing in the north coast of Egypt, I'm just helping out with implementations with all these brands and nightlife places that are open here. They're using Modeeri as well. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. Went from dishwashing to now running the Middle East top software platform in our space. So that's
Pretty amazing. And you're 20, 25 or 26 now?
26 now. I just turned 26.
26 years old. And originally Modeeri started as Cook Docs, correct?
Yeah,
So
that's
how did you
actually
realize that
that's
this
good.
was
That's good that you know that.
bigger than restaurants? It sounds like because that was still day-to-day operations kind of based for restaurants, right?
I'm glad you actually asked this. So how Modeeri even started was basically after running all these operations and after starting to help out with operations in for different businesses. I had this huge manual of all these SOPs and checklists and just all these manuals that I was like, these took maybe like just under a decade to actually come up with, and it's solid. And I feel like so many people could really benefit from this as a toolkit. So I spent like a couple months making it into a downloadable toolkit that I started just selling worldwide, running Google pay-per-click ads. It was a downloadable toolkit. You could just hop onto our landing page from a Google ad and just buy it, and now your restaurant had an entire operating system to use. But like I didn't feel like that was helpful enough because then now you have to like plug in all of your systems to this toolkit and spend hours setting it up. And I feel like you already have your systems, you just want to plug it into a software, and that's the feedback we were getting. So it started with just restaurants. CookDocs was the downloadable toolkit, and then we built it into a software that was CookDocs V2. And then we started realizing there's factories, there's construction sites, there's all these frontline teams, retail businesses, convenience stores, gas stations. They all have so many locations, and they have so like they can benefit from digital audits and inspections and checklists, which is what we started with. Now we're building a lot more. We're building an asset management platform. We're building training management. We're building an entire AI layer. We're integrating everything together. So it's becoming like a whole operating system. But yeah, it started as CookDocs, which was just a downloadable toolkit for restaurants.
And it's grew to that. It's pretty amazing. Now,
Yeah.
working with Adidas too, they just signed on with Penn State.
No way.
Yeah, no longer Nike. So we're all
No
Adidas
way. I
now
did not
too.
know that.
That's right.
That's
So
crazy.
might have to do some
Yeah.
consulting up here as
I mean,
well.
we work with Adidas in Egypt. So
Okay. Yeah.
it's not worldwide yet.
Looks like an absolute paradise out there. You said you're in the northern part of
Yeah,
Egypt
the
on the
north
beach
coast
right
of
now.
Egypt. It is, and I stand by. This is the best beach in the entire world. There's no
Yeah.
better water than, and this is the Mediterranean Sea. So we share the same sea with, southern Greece and all these European countries. But I think this is the best uh, water by far.
So kind of
Anyways,
take
drifting.
take us through like you grew up in Egypt, your family's all from Egypt, and you have two brothers, Hassan and Yusuf. And then
Yep.
when did you move to the US and into state college right away, right?
So I was born and raised in the U.S. So I was born in Philadelphia. I was
Okay.
born in Philly, and I lived I mean, obviously, I don't remember this much, but I lived in Philly for like a year when I was 1 year old. Then moved to Cherry Hill, New Jersey for 4 years, and then came back to Egypt for I think 6 years. So that's where I spent elementary school, and then middle school I came back to State College. My dad was uh, my dad was working there. My sister was just starting at Penn State as a freshman, and then my brothers and I were both in middle school, or were all three of us were middle school. So yeah, so then we grew up in State College. We'd come back to Egypt for the summers, sometimes the winters, um, and uh, and then yeah, and then I just came back in 2022 full time back to Egypt.
2022, yep.
Yeah, so I've been back here now for the last 4 years.
So I think that's when we originally met was back in middle school. I believe Yusuf
Yeah,
was my grade. And
yeah. My
uh,
my both my brothers are older. They're in your grade.
and I think yeah, and then we probably met at like the skate park, probably ran into each other a few times.
I'm sure. Tulsi,
Yeah, and then ran back
Tulsi
into each
Mountain.
other. And then I moved away to North Carolina after that, and then came back right when I was 19, and so you were 17, and we met at the village for the first time. And I
Yes.
remember I've met a thousands of people, but I remember our first meeting specifically because I was first day at the village. Um, we were in the back prepping food, and the mood was totally dead. Everyone, was just like in a trance, focusing on their work. And then as soon as you come in, everyone just lights up. And it's like, Ollie's here,
Damn.
Ollie's here. I remember Shannon running, giving you a hug. And then
Oh,
all the waitresses came flying out. And then you came right up to me, introduced yourself. And then obviously we realized we recognized each other. But we had quite the gang there. And
yeah. Those were some good times, dude. Those are some really good times. I mean, I still say this to this day. Like for me, that was by far my favorite place that I ever worked. Because there was just like always there's always so much to learn, and I feel like it's to this day work is really all about what you make it. And back then, I felt like the people who were there at the village, like we were all just trying to grow. We were trying to learn whatever it was, even if it was just cooking, even if it was management position, even if it was front of the house. I think all of us were just there trying to learn, and it was a good environment to be in. And I felt like you and I shared that mindset, especially, and that's I think why we stayed close to this day.
Definitely. And you already had a passion, in the kitchen, as you mentioned, when you're 15, you wanted to be a cook and then, or, be a chef one day. And then you also went to Penn State, though, for business. So you had that entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah,
So, explain, because I know cook docs and then pronounce it one more time for me, because I think I didn't pronounce it right.
Modeeri.
Modidi. Okay.
Yeah, Modeeri. Modeeri. Modeeri.
Okay. I love the name. Um,
Just
so
it
before,
means my manager in Arabic. Modeeri means my manager. Yeah,
okay, got it.
yeah,
So before that, there was Lunchbox, and then there was even one before that. I remember kind of when you were starting off your you had this idea. I think you explained it to me as like almost a Poshmark for kitchen
yeah.
supplies.
Kitchen conscious.
Yeah, yeah. And
Kitchen
so,
conscious was my first stab at a tech company, and I didn't know anything about it back then. And that was, I learned a lot from it. Basically, I think what we were trying to do, and I say I think because we really didn't have like a proper idea for it. Like it was all over the place. I didn't understand the concept of an MVP or how to validate your product in the market and get proof of concept. I didn't understand anything around tech companies. I just had this idea that I wanted to basically one, do anything that had to do with technology. Like I've always been so interested in software and technology businesses. So that was something that was kind of built into me from a young age. And two, I wanted it to be something related to what I was doing in the kitchen or with restaurants. And I felt like there was a lack of uh, a marketplace in our region where we had a lot of farmers markets, yes, and but we have so many farms and we have so many people growing great produce and we had good agriculture, but we didn't have a platform to actually deliver all of this to the locals right to your doorstep. So that's what Kitchen Conscious was. I don't think it was the best name, and we didn't execute that well at all, but it did teach me a lot. And I do think it's still a good idea and would really work out. I guess someone obviously just has to, do the research on the market and see if that's actually going to hold up. But that's the first. Yeah, that was Kitchen Conscious. That was the first. My first go with technology.
and so what are the things you've kind of learned? When was that was 2020 or 2019 when you started that?
2019, yeah, 2019. That
2019.
was during COVID. I remember I was just sitting in my room, or sitting on the dining table, on the dining room table, just drawing out wireframes of what the software is going to look like. I'll tell you the biggest thing I learned from that is that work you you shouldn't just if you feel like you're busy, it doesn't mean you're being productive. So I would just be sitting there drawing like wireframes for 12, 14 hours of like what the app is going to look like. But that's not, and that made me feel busy and productive. And I was sitting in one place and how all these papers spread out on a table. I felt like an architect, designing this app. But that didn't get us anywhere. And I could have spent my time speaking with someone who's going to design all that, who was not going to take much money at all, and was going to be able to do this way better than I could without wasting any time, without wasting any resources. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I learned from that is you don't have to just be busy to to feel productive. And there's a book called the 80-20 rule, which basically pinpoints this is where 80% of your results comes from 20% of the input. And I was just putting 80% of my effort in something I shouldn't have and getting basically very little results, which is the 20%. So yeah, I learned to make sure that using my time efficiently on where am I strongest, where should I put my time in, what's going to give me the best results instead of just doing something to keep me busy and saying I'm a businessman.
Steve Jobs kind of had that same quote where it was, he focuses on two things and then everything else is just noise. So you really put all your focus into, just a select few things. So what are those things now that you heavily focus on the most?
I love that. I love that concept from Steve Jobs, by the way, like the noise versus the what you should be focusing on. So everything right now, and this is subjective to everyone else's life and what they're focused on, what their visions are, what are their goals. But for me, Like I think of my life in seasons and the business in seasons. There's not just like, you know, Modeeri all the time is going to just be, I'm going to be focusing on one thing the entire time for the entire year. I think about it as what do I need to focus on this season that's going to get us to the next season and it's going to take us to the next season. And that's just going to, where are the opportunities where I can hop on now and trying to be agile. So for me, the noise really is anything that isn't what I'm focused on and have written out to focus on for that season. So that might be fundraising. That might be, we just launched a new module and we're trying to get these specific enterprise level customers. So all of my focus is going to be onto that. Maybe we're growing so fast and we need to set up better systems. So I need to focus everything on making sure that the operations doesn't break so that I can start focusing on growing the business. So yeah, noise is really subjective to the season that I'm in, I think.
Okay. And
Oh,
then,
and signal is the other one. It's signal versus noise. So signal, he says you want to make sure that 80% of your schedule for your day is focused on signal and then 20% is noise. Because you're always going to have noise. You're always going to have things that are calling your attention. And I'm not saying like your family and your kids and like everything else in your life isn't noise, but if you have like a really big vision and goal, sometimes, that can be noise because it's not serving your overall purpose.
so what does the work-life balance look like for you? Because obviously you have family and you just told me you're getting married soon.
Yep.
So, wow, look at that, man. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard. Um, Like I think when you sit with a lot of founders, especially at the stage that we're in, because we're so early, it's been under a year that we've actually been operational. So it's been good what we've been able to accomplish in this year, but like we're just at the very beginning, and it's very competitive, and we want to really just be the category leaders for as long as we can. So it takes a lot out of me, Ali. It takes a lot of me, and because no one's gonna do it if I'm not doing it. No one's gonna keep the standards high if I'm not keeping the standards high. So that obviously affects a lot of other things. I try to always make sure that I keep a healthy mind and a healthy body. So I'm always trying to work out. During the summer, if I'm on vacation like this, I definitely will not work out so I can spend more time with my family. But yeah, I guess it also has to do with seasons. Like there's some seasons where I have no work-life balance for 3 months, like, and it's really bad. And then there's also like, a month or two where, I'm able to make time for friends and family that I haven't seen in a long time. And I definitely do take advantage of that because I think that's really, really important, but it's a roller coaster. Yeah, like a lot of also starting a company, especially in the space and in our region, it's just I was just speaking to a friend who just sold his company for a good amount of money, and it's an AI company, and I was like, how were the last 4 years of building the company? He's like, it's basically 4 years of eating glass. You
Yeah,
see glass for 4 years, and then you sell a company, and now you can be retired at the age of 30. And that's just like that's
right.
what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I
So
think
as much as
Elon Musk.
I could try to make it sound like it's like a fairy tale and it's like wow and it's building a company sounds so luxurious and amazing and wow and like yeah it's very tough and it really affects your life in a lot of negative ways no matter how well you do it. But I think overall for me like I would not rather be doing anything else. So yeah, the work life balance question, like I think everyone in my position would answer it the same way.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I think Elon Musk said starting a business is like looking into a dark abyss, and
Yeah.
you know, like you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's so much risk, but so much reward as well.
Yeah.
That
High risk, high reward. Yep.
so you said,
Exactly.
you're still early on in this. What do you see in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years for Modeeri, we're currently only we have our only offices here in Cairo. Um, we really want to focus on the rest of the region heavily. Like we get a lot of inbound from Saudi and the UAE, and other countries and these Gulf countries in the Middle East, and this is where we're focused on is the Middle East and North Africa. So next steps really are just to like open more offices. We want to open an office in Dubai, open an office in Riyadh, in Saudi, um, and yeah, in 5 years we want every single um, business with a frontline team, all these top enterprise businesses to be using Modeeri as their operating system. So that's really our vision for the next 5 years. And I think we're well on our way to doing that. It's just slowly building new modules, building blocks, building relationships, building traction. And yeah, it's just like, it's very like steady growth right now. And right now we're at the point where we're starting to fundraise, we're starting to raise money. And that's the season I'm in right now is really just, it's all about sitting with investors. We were like this before we even built the product. We were trying to raise money at first, but we had no business talking to investors. We didn't even have a product in the market. We thought we were going to raise like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it didn't turn out to be the case. But now we have investors approaching us, and we have people who want to invest in Modeeri because it's a very investable company now, and we're growing, and they want their money to grow. And so yeah, so right now it's just focused on fundraising so we can get to the next step. So in 5 years we can be working with all the McDonald's, all the the WalMarts, all these the Circle K's of the world.
Sounds like the ball is really rolling, and you guys are going in a great path right now. What
So
was
far it's
the
been good.
original, what was the original outreach kind of process? Like when you were brand new, a new company, obviously you don't have a reputation yet. You don't have, any anything backing you. What was it? What was the original outreach? How did that look?
So it was all founder led. So it was me just reaching out to my network and seeing who's going to trust me to use this product. And I didn't have any credible people using the product before. So it was really just going to my network. And this was a strategy all along, is I think, and this is what I'd recommend any business doing from the start is when you're starting out, especially when you're B2B, go to your network. Who The people in your circle are going to trust you more than like a random person you're going to approach and cold call when you don't have logos backing you, like Adidas, for example. Now it's very easy to say we have 1, 2, 3 people working with us and they sell it for us because it's trust that goes into it, and that's what sells is trust. So I was really just approaching people in my circle, being like, "Hey, I'm starting 1, 2, 3. How about you try it out for free for the next month or two, see if you get value from it, and then after that, maybe you can pay our subscription service fee." And that's just how we started. I just kept doing that, reaching out to people, meeting with people, and to this day, like I still am reaching out to my network. I'm trying to uh, make sure that everyone can benefit from Modeeri because I truly believe that the product isn't something that we're selling at this point. It's something that I feel like every business in our region should be using so that their operations can be better. And we put a lot of time into building the product and enhancing it and using feedback from all the industry leaders to making sure that the platform is valuable, not just for that brand, but for all the brands that use Modeeri. So, so yeah, can't remember what the question is now, but I hope I answered it.
Yes, sir. I want to, before we go, I know you got to get out and go to a dinner, but what are some of your favorite pastimes in State College? What are the best things growing up that you remember?
It's a good question, and there were so many. There were so many, and I was just looking at my camera roll before this, back when I was in state college. There were so many. Honestly, everything outdoors. So here in Egypt, it's so hot all the time, and I still try to, wherever I can, do some outdoor activities. But I just remember it was always so amazing in the summer. Hiking was one of them. Just swimming in lakes, just going cliff jumping, rope swinging, things that like you just won't see anywhere
Ali's a
else.
wild
And
man, everyone. Ali
yeah,
has no fear of anything. I remember hanging out with him. We'd go to, yeah, cliff jumping. Where was that at? Or the rope swing. Um,
yeah, there was a
Boulder
bunch.
Lake.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah, can't
I
remember
mean,
where they
that
all.
was a
There's
small
Racetown.
one, but I was scared of that one. But you were jumping off bigger cliffs at like Racetown and
Yeah, Racetown. Wakeboarding was a big one. I used to go to Bald Eagle and rent a speedboat and just I had a wakeboard. We used to do that. Uh, I I mean surfing that was in state college. I drive away to do that. In state college, used to love longboarding, skateboarding, anything with a board, snowboarding at Tussey, snowboarding anywhere. Used to just play pickup soccer with some people, uh, tailgating. Anything outdoors is
Mhm.
was really the best thing, and just hanging out with friends. So yeah, always great times. I think some of my best memories, uh, until the humble age of 26 have been in state college and with you guys, especially with you, Jared. I feel like we have a lot of good times together.
We definitely did. Also, one more thing I want to talk about is before you left Egypt, I believe, you had a health issue. You had a tumor in your brain, and
Yeah.
I remember you telling me you were in the hospital, you had migraines, and then
Mm.
they found the tumor.
Hmm.
And what year was that? Was that 2022?
This is before I left the U.S., so I had already booked my flight to leave the U.S. to go back to Egypt, and I started getting these really bad migraines for 5 days. It was very, very, very bad. Like I couldn't even begin to explain how bad they were. And my dad was like, "You should do an MRI." So we went did an MRI, found the tumor. It was a very big tumor. It turned out to be benign, so it was not cancerous, thank God. Um, yeah, so I just pushed my flight until I could do the surgery to remove it. I removed the tumor. It was a very good surgeon who did the surgery. It came out, turned out it was benign, and I went back to Egypt as if nothing happened. So to this day, I mean, you could. I'm not sure if you can see it here. I still have
Yeah.
a scar on my head,
Yeah.
and yeah, Alhamdulillah.
I just remember, all of us, everyone but you was kind of freaking out. And then I
Yeah,
remember I got to see you the night before surgery, and you were the calmest I've ever seen you, I think. You were like, everything's going to be just fine. And, we were all worried, but you weren't worried. How do you kind of, and that's always kind of been the case with you, like at least you don't show it, but you always seem very, glass half full. You just enjoy life, take it as it is, and it's kind of hard to explain, but you're very comfortable, you're very confident, it seems like, and you really live your life. And what has that always been the case? And do you ever actually feel fear? I guess because it seems like
well,
I'm sure you do, but that's kind of what it looks like on the outside.
well, I mean, I'm glad it looks like that on the outside. I'm definitely human. I definitely feel fear. Um, I think everyone also just has higher and lower risk tolerances than the person next to them. So I mean, that works out for me in my favor when it comes to business. Most of the time, is that I have a high risk tolerance, but also it comes to bite me in the butt sometimes. In terms of uh, like not being fearful and how I tend to stay calm. I always used to like think to myself. I know it's kind of weird, but I used to think when I was younger, like, what would I say if someone told me I had cancer? Like, how would I react? And I always felt like I would react like so normally. Like I just feel like this is where I'm at now. What do I have to do to make things better? I'm not gonna look at what happened or where I'm at and say that, oh, I never want to feel like a victim of life. Like I feel like life is what you make it. It's not like what it makes of you. So if I just felt like I was a victim and all this sucks, maybe that surgery wouldn't have gone well. Maybe I would have stressed myself out. I think worrying never helps anything. So better to just focus on finding a solution or being positive about it than being negative and it having no benefit to your life or society. So I didn't want to. I never wanted to, you know, make the people around me feel worried, especially during that time. Is like it's already something that's huge, and we have a big. There's a lot of people in my life who had cancer, and I don't want to worry my family, and so yeah, so I just it. I don't know. I really don't know like how I end up just being so calm. I just felt like this is what I have to do to get to the next phase. Is just there's really nothing in my hands. It's all in God's hands. I think it also has to do with faith. Is I'm someone who really believes in God, and if that at that point it's just in His hands. There's no one else who's really going to help me out. Might as well just get a good surgeon, pray, and that's what I did. And alhamdulillah, I'm here.
How important is faith in just your everyday life?
Very important. Uh, very very important. And our my entire business is basically built on the principles of faith and no matter what religion it is, the idea of just having someone that you can believe in and someone who's always watching you, never feel like you're alone, and you feel like you're constantly being supported by someone or something, whatever your belief is. I think that's super important, and I just think, in my opinion, religion in general gives you guidelines that just allow you to live a better life. And so, ever since I got closer to God, I feel like my life has generally improved drastically.
I agree with that. Well, Ollie, thank you. I know you got to get out of here pretty soon, but thank you so much for, taking the time. And it's so great to talk to you again. And
It was my pleasure, Jared. Honestly, this has been a great conversation. I feel like we do this more often.
yeah, for sure.